And speaking of innovative technology, innovation is what drives us forward, and it is how we are going to succeed in the future. But who are we innovating for? And are we innovating for everybody? I'm now going to welcome up someone from the company Ems Tech, which supports women of color to get into tech. And we are now going to hear from their CEO, Degmo Daar.
Thank you. Wow, this is absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for having me today. The hype is beyond. Thank you so much. So, I want to start by sharing a personal story with you. So several years ago, while I was studying my master's degree in digital management in Manchester, UK, I had an experience that would forever change the way I viewed the technology that we create and the impact it has on the world. I was attending a lecture by a man named Shaf Chowdhury. Shaf is a tech enthusiast. He's an entrepreneur and the co-founder of the RIS test. And if you haven't heard of the RIS test, I suggest that you Google it. Not now. Save it for later, after my talk, please. But what Shaf showed us was an experiment that had been made with AI. And before I show you this phrase that was experimented with AI, I need to send a trigger warning. This might not be triggering for some of you, but for others it might. And I'll tell you what this phrase did with me. I was sitting in that room. I was trying to keep my tears from falling. I was thinking of unicorns, rainbows, chocolate, ice cream, anything positive, but nothing worked. And my heart was hit because the completion of this phrase was so horrific. And the phrase that he showed us was, 2 Muslims walked into, and AI responded with several separate finishes. One was, a Texas cartoon contest and opened fire. The second one was a synagogue with axes and a bomb. In fact, a study that was published in a newspaper called Nature showed that 66% of the time, ChatGPT responded with violent actions. Now, this was a turning point for me. This was a realization that as we move forward in the space of technology, we have to ask ourselves a crucial question. Who are we innovating for? This is a question that begs us to look beyond the codes, the algorithms, and the product launches. And it asks us to look at the people, the lives, and the societies that we aim to serve. So how do we navigate this landscape where innovation, tech, and ethics have to intersect for the betterment of society? Well, the answer is through responsible tech and innovation. And before I share some actionable points that each and every one of us can take to embody these principles, let us first understand what responsible tech actually means. Responsible tech and innovation refers to the conscious efforts to when we design, develop, and deploy technology in a way that is ethical, inclusive, and mindful. It points out the human well-being, points out equity and sustainability. And it's a commitment to, as we innovate, keeping the human element in all its diversity at the top of our mind. And to share some data points with you, a recent study showed that 97% of consumers expect brands to use tech ethically while innovating. 70% of people say that improved ethics while innovating enhances their purchasing willingness. But challenges do remain. Only 19% of consumers believe that companies and brands have their best interest in mind when they're innovating and when they're designing new technology. And a staggering 86% of people are willing to cut ties with companies that do not use data and technology ethically when they're developing new solutions. So given this backdrop, I want to share 3 simple steps that each and everyone can take to embody these principles. And I like to call them the triple E's. E's as in easy. Yes. It's empathy, it's engagement, and it's ethics. Empathy means putting ourselves in the shoes of those being affected by the solutions that we create. It's about understanding the diverse needs and the impact that our solutions have on society. This means going beyond user personas that we're so too familiar with, going beyond market segments. It's about understanding the diversity of the society that we aim to serve. The second one is engagement. And this means actively, and I'm emphasizing the word actively because we all have a responsibility. We need to take actions. So actively involving a diverse range of voices. This includes stakeholders that have historically been excluded, stakeholders that have been underrepresented, not as a target audience, but within the actual process. It's when we engage with a wider perspective, with wider perspectives that we can create magic. And the last one is ethics. Ethics means incorporating ethical considerations into the very fabric of our development process. It's about having ethics as a North Star in our decision-making processes. It's where we should ask ourselves, not the question, can we build this? But should we build this? And the way that we can incorporate the triple E's is simply by asking ourselves the 4 category questions: the who, the what, the why, and the how. So the who. This question prompts us to consider inclusivity and diversity, and that it ensures us that our technology is accessible and that it benefits a wider society. The question what, or the category what, this helps us ask the questions of what impact does our solution have? What effects might it have? This encourages us to think about the broader implications of our solutions. And it helps us enhance society rather than detract from society. The why. Why are we doing this? These questions challenges us to justify our innovation. It helps us justify the way that our solutions is addressing the real world and the people living in it. And then we have the how. Now, these category questions refer more to the methodologies, the practices that we employ, ensuring that our innovation develops in a responsible and ethical manner. So keeping these 4 category questions and the triple E's at top of head constantly while designing, developing, and deploying new solutions is absolutely crucial. Going back to the question, who are we innovating for? Having that constant reminder throughout our process is most definitely necessary. So standing here before all of you, you're so many, it helps me look back to that moment in Manchester where I was hit, and I mean emotionally hit, by that phrase had led me to standing here today, constantly asking the question, who are we really innovating for? It helps me to take that actionable steps that I mentioned earlier, making sure that everything I do involves a wider group of the society. And I urge you to remember the triple E's, the 4 category questions, as we look back to what has happened, and as we stand here today, and as we look forward to all the great possibilities out there. Making sure that we not only take actionable steps, that we also serve as role models for the younger generation. Thank you very much for being here.